Yeah, right.
It's like Dolly Parton.
No. So I went to my little hairdresser and she brings off the hair all the time.
Looks good. I got 6 o'clock. What do you got?
I've got 1 minute till.
I'd like to call this March 19th, 2009 meeting of the Cookeville City Council to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Anderson.
Present.
Councilman Shelton.
Here.
Mayor Salee.
Present.
Vice Mayor Davis.
Present.
Councilman Williams.
Present.
All present.
If we could all rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda, Mr. Shipley?
Need to add item 5B, consider approval of vehicle purchase for the police department, sponsored by Terry.
All right. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All vote.
5 yes votes, motion carried.
That brings us to our old business portion of the meeting. We have item 2, consider approval of minutes of work session council meeting held on March the 2nd and 5th, 2009. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
Second. Motion. Move for approval.
Second.
We have our motion and our second and thirds on that one.
Fourth.
Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing no discussion, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right, that brings us to the new business portion of our meeting. Item 3, consider approval of proprietary water plant chemical purchase. Sponsor, Mr. Ronnie Kelly.
Mayor and Council, we've got a request to purchase a proprietary phosphate blend chemical for use at our water plant. We've been considering the addition of this chemical for several years to reduce the incidences of the red water that occurs sometimes, that a lot of you have probably seen or heard about. When the velocity of the water in the distribution system is significantly increased, particles of iron and manganese coating the pipe walls are released, and this puts them into suspension in the water. This situation usually occurs during waterline breaks, firefighting activities, and fire hydrant testing. Polyphosphate will react with the soluble iron and manganese by sequestering the metals to maintain their solubility in water. The orthophosphate will react with the dissolved metals to form a microscopic film on the pipe wall. Numerous systems throughout the city and the country, the state, use this polyphosphates and orthophosphates. We've considered 2 suppliers, a Sequest and an Aquadine. I'm not going to get into all the details of that. It's in the memo. To treat 13.5 million gallons of water with one of the chemicals, the Sequest, it takes 14.5 million or 5 gallons would be required, whereas 17.4 gallons of the Aquadine would be needed. Both vendors have extended to us special pricing to use for a 6 to 8 month trial. Feeding 14.5 gallons per day of Sequest at a cost of $10.98 a gallon will cost just under $5,000 per month. Presently, we feed a sodium hydroxide, which we use to adjust the pH of the water that prevents corrosion in the distribution system. Recent price increases have driven our sodium hydroxide cost up to approximately $23,000 a month. The addition of phosphate would take care of the corrosion problem and allow us to only have to raise the pH level back up to 7.5, which is down from a current level of 8.3. This will allow us to cut our sodium hydroxide usage about 44%, roughly saving us around $10,000 a month. This more than offsets the cost of the phosphate and gives us a net savings of around $5,000 a month. It's our recommendation to allow us to purchase 64 barrels of Sequest at a price of $10.98 per gallon for a total cost of $33,214.50. This would allow us to an 8-month trial for our evaluation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Have our motion and our second. Any discussion by the council?
The bigger issue is, do we drink all that?
I was fixing to say, do you expect it to change the taste at all, the water?
No, we don't expect it to change any of the taste. It's used all through the country. I had Barry Turner, our environmental engineers here, Roger Phillips, our water plant superintendent's here. They did some checking. I think there's probably 80% of the systems in the state use phosphates.
Are there any issues regarding, our storage of this versus any of the other chemicals
No,
as far as
no.
space?
Just
and
another chemical at
toxicity
the
of it
water
or
plant.
whatever?
I guess some health and safety agencies done studies on all these.
Oh, it's all
different
food grade. Trying to remember, Barry.
NSF approved.
It's NSF.
Sanitation.
Yeah, it's not a big issue.
Good deal. Does it help, does it create better longevity for our transmission lines?
Yes, it'll help clean out some tubulars and stuff that are iron deposits in the line. It'll help over time take some of those out of the line. I think John could attest to a lot of the red water when they do some fires around town. There's a lot of water usage. I think he's had quite a few calls here in the last year or so, stirring up the water and pulling out a lot of the particles off the pipe.
Okay.
And this should take care of that over a period of time.
City water.
No tubulars in that bottle of water.
Well, and it's unusual for us to do something new and it costs less.
Yeah, we've looked at it probably. I was trying to remember, Roger.
I think 95, 96.
Yeah, at least. We've been talking about it, looking at it. Not a real reason to change.
Do you expect the prices to go up dramatically after our eight-month trial period, or do you expect it to?
They've quoted us the price. Barry, what was it? 15 from $10 to
Yeah, about 15.
to about
40,
15.
like that. So,
At that point in time, we would get them both back together and try to negotiate
yeah.
and
But
see
it
what we.
still saves money.
The net savings calculated was based upon the price they gave you for a longer period of time, not just the trial period.
The 5,000 per month is based on the special pricing, but we still save about 2,500 a month at the higher price. So maybe a little more than that.
Very good. Any other questions or discussions?
Just like to thank Roger for coming. It's not every day
Yeah.
he and Barry get to come up here. We appreciate all you're doing down there. You guys get to stay way down the hill. Appreciate all you're doing down there.
Yeah, sure do.
Ronnie, on another topic before we vote on this, the water tank, is it gone?
Gone.
It's gone.
Boy, it went down fast.
Down quickly. Oh, those guys, the guys that did it, that's all they do. They did an excellent job.
Well, in case you can't find Capshaw School, just call Ronnie Kelly's office. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, any comments from the audience? Seeing none, all vote.
Thank
5
you.
yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Item 4, consider awarding bids for transformers and luminaires. Electric Department, sponsor Tony Peak.
Mayor and council members, you should have 3 bid tabulation sheets in your packet. Well, I do know how they're lined up. On the first bid tabulation sheets for 10 kVA transformers, would you show me the second bid tabulation, please? On the second bid tabulation sheet, we had two items, 25 kVA transformers and 37.5 kVAs. And the third one is for the 1,000 watt metal halide luminaires. I'd recommend your approval on all 3 items. On the 2 transformer bids, low evaluated bidder, and on the luminaire bid, low bid meeting specs.
All right, very good. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Comments by the audience? Seeing none, I'll vote.
Thank you.
5
Thank
yes
you,
votes,
Mr. Peak.
motion carries.
Item 5, consider declaring as surplus various city vehicles. Sponsor Mr. Mike Davidson or Jim Shipley.
Well, I wish somebody had told me. We have identified several vehicles in several departments that need to be declared surplus, and in fact there may be a couple of pieces of equipment that are coming out of the utilities that Leisure Services may in fact be interested in. So, but if you would just declare those surplus tonight, then if we can move them around in departments, we'll try to do that.
All right, do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Just one quick question. Do we have people sign a hold harmless form when they buy these vehicles so that we're not liable for anything? Some of these look like they might be fairly...
They buy them as is, no
As
warranties
is,
implied
okay.
or otherwise.
Good.
Yeah, no steering column.
Yeah, that could be dangerous. Any further discussion? See none, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right, that brings us to item 5B, consider approval of purchase of a police vehicle. Sponsor, Chief Bob Terry.
Mayor and council, we're reassigning some vehicles at the police department. The one we're reassigning will go to Lieutenant Searcy. It's the vehicle we currently use as a SWAT vehicle. It's a Titan pickup truck, which will leave his available to go on the road. It's a regular police car package on it. And that will leave Captain Evans without a vehicle, and we'd like permission to buy a 2008 Mercury Marquis from Heritage Ford for $12,900, and that is below the NADA book value. And the funds will be coming out of the drug fund.
All right, very good. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion by the council? Seeing no discussion, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, we have our hearing of citizens and/or delegations, and tonight we have a special report from our Cityscape Director, Miss Tony Evans, and we'll hear from Miss Evans first, and then we'll open up the floor for other citizens. So if you could come and to the lectern there, and let's hear about some Cityscape.
Thank you. Thank you, Council and Mayor Salih, for letting me come and talk with you guys tonight. I have been forewarned that I need to keep it short and sweet, which is fortunate because I'm nervous it will be very short and sweet. First of all, I would just, again, thank you for the opportunity, but I would like to let you know that I've just gotten back from Chicago for a National Main Street Conference, and it is the coldest place in the world, including Alaska. But I was very fortunate in that, in talking with other Main Street directors, that we have a wonderful working partnership with Cityscape in the city of Cookeville and the Putnam County government. That is not the case across the board. So I thank you again for the support that you all offer me. We may take that for granted at times, but that made me really realize that we are very fortunate in this working relationship. Our mission at Cityscape, which probably most of you are familiar with, is to establish a partnership between the public and private sectors dedicated to revitalizing downtown Cookeville, with emphasis on community livability, economic restructuring, and of course historic preservation. Having said that whole big mouthful of stuff, let me tell you what we're doing in the trenches. We are currently working in conjunction with the Friends of the Depot and the Depot Museum itself in planning events for their 100th celebration this year. Very exciting time for the Depot, and we're very proud of them. We're working with the Bryan Symphony Orchestra, who happen to be the most organized people I know because they're already planning for their 50th year celebration in 2012. We continue to work closely with the Westside Business Association in planning and implementing their events, including the state-sanctioned Dobros competition at the Depot in June, which was currently Railroad Rendezvous but now has switched over to just a state-sanctioned Dobros. We've been helping with the new Dinosaur Museum in the former Wilson building. We're working with them in conjunction with the Make-A-Wish Foundation for some kickoff events for their big grand opening. We're glad to have them downtown. We are replacing trees that have died around the square and west side, which I think everybody will be happy about that. We helped to implement the banner program for the west side, and we're currently working for the square area as well to have banners on the square area. We've updated our existing awning grant. For some years we have had in place an awning grant where businesses in the west side and downtown areas could apply and recoup some of their funds for what they spent on an awning. We have now expanded that for facade improvement. And having said that, we are working with the Masonic Lodge building on the square to improve the exterior of their building. Very happy about that. We have an economic restructuring committee that is working really hard on some incentives for downtown business recruitment as well as retention at no cost to the city. Jim, don't twitch. We plan on continuing our regular annual events, Taste of the Town in May and Fall Fun Fest on the Square in the fall. And last but certainly not least, we are the biggest cheerleaders for Dogwood Park out there. I've met with Rick Woods a couple different times, and we've secured a $20,000 grant through the ECD that will help pay for the restroom pavilion in the park expansion. We have sold lampposts for many, many years. We want to continue to do that for Dogwood Park in the park expansion, as well as any other things that would help generate revenue for the park, such as benches, pavers, whatever is necessary. We have offered to help secure, which might be a little tricky in this economy, to secure some corporate donations to pay for the water feature, kiosk, trash receptacles, whatever, again, is necessary. We are anxious, in fact, we're probably a little too anxious. We'd like to put up sight signs on either side of the park entrances, telling the community what's going on, raising awareness, community visibility of the actual park expansion. We're not, I don't think we're quite ready to do that yet because of the park layout and that sort of thing, but we're really anxious to get people involved and get on board. So that's what Cityscape's been doing. I told you, Jim, it would be short and sweet because I'm very nervous. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Very good.
Two questions, Tony. Taste of the Town, May what?
May 16th at Jeff and Kathy Callahan's little bitty house on Lowland and Maple.
And the other thing, I know we've talked about this before, but probably how we can facilitate better Cityscape's involvement in the park, and what that would look like and entail, and if you have a plan possibly that you could present so that we can make sure that I know there's a lot of moving pieces and parts to that, and perhaps if there was a more concerted effort from, I know how important it is to this organization. I served on the board for many years, and to consolidate obviously the west side and the square, and that's why it's there. So if there's a way to your involvement or your organization's involvement so that we can move this along faster, I know I personally would be very much interested in that plan if we could figure out how to do that, and whether it's a tighter committee formed or what we need to do, because I feel like beyond money issues, which there are, we know that, but there are things that could be being done, which you just mentioned, that aren't. And so if you could maybe come up with a one-page plan or something, how you and Cityscape could make this happen faster, I would very much be interested in it.
We are happy to participate in any way, and it would be no problem to get a report for the council.
Great.
Anything else?
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
We appreciate all that Cityscape does, and we're glad to have you, Tony, taking us in that, keeping that momentum going. We appreciate it. At this time, we open up our floor for citizens and delegations, and it looks like most of the folks here tonight are not citizens or delegations, but are department heads. So
You're citizens.
they are citizens, some of them. We will. We do invite you to come to our council meetings. We do open up the floor, and please come and bring your ideas and comments to the council. We're glad to hear from you. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Thank you. Good job. Next.